Don't wait till the night before Christmas to be good.
And in 3, 2, 1, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 9 of the 7th annual 12 Podcasts of Christmas. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Francois Denation.
I am Andrew Claus.
And I am James Gandolfini. I never saw The Sopranos.
You know nothing of James Gandolfini.
I know nothing of James Gandolfini. Except that's me.
You probably couldn't even describe what he looks like.
Yeah, he's a heavier set fellow with like a cul-de-sac hair. I know what he looks like.
Okay.
I've seen the final scene of The Sopranos.
Of course.
Yeah.
It's too upsetting for you to ever consider watching it.
Yeah, we just don't know what happened. We're not sure what happened with the Sopranos and James Gandolfini because
there's a new Sopranos movie that's going to be coming out in 2021.
Unfortunately, Gandolfini's passed. Oh.
Yes, his son is playing. It's a young Tony.
I'm not.
Hit that middle button.
I'm not too terribly.
Yeah, you're not a fan of the Sopranos. We understand.
I'm not a fan of the Sopranos.
Not a fan. Fran is not a fan. You're not a fan. Nor are you a fan of the Sopranos. We all know that you have 3 shows that you like to watch. So
it's not true.
Not counting documentaries.
I started watching The Office.
We'll see.
I actually started watching it.
We'll see.
You got 25 days or even less, like 15 days till it's off of Netflix.
I will not be finishing the program, but
I was going to say
I will give it a good shot.
If you get to the end of the Pan and Jim initial arc, like that's pretty big. That's like my favorite.
How many seasons is that?
3, I think. 3 or 4.
Well, it's not bad.
Yeah, no.
They're pretty short episodes. It's easy to binge them for sure.
What are they? Yeah, they're just half-hour episodes.
22 minutes.
22-minute episodes. Big news in the world of video entertainment with the release of. Somebody help me out here.
I don't know.
Cyberpunk 2077.
What?
So there's a new
pretty lame game. I had to stop playing it.
action RPG. I think it's wonderful.
I hate it.
It was bad. I hated it.
I don't think it's bad.
What do you like about it?
The beautiful set pieces. The character design was very intuitive.
The character design was intuitive?
It was very intuitive.
Like the character builder?
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Which sometimes it's not.
Process, it's very
smooth, very clean.
It's pretty terrible.
I really do enjoy the UI.
So
I do really enjoy the UI as well.
I'm scared to touch it. I have to just lean like this for this podcast.
No, he can hear it just fine. Anyway,
we lost her.
I go see what it does.
That's good. Just right there is good. I won't. That's fine. This is fine.
I apologize if Andrew's audio might not come through the greatest.
That's okay. We'll figure it out here. I can speak a little bit louder.
as he usually does.
It's not that game is shit. It scared me. I didn't like it. Played through it till the second act, and right when the story was getting good, it's like freaked me right out.
I didn't even.
I got freaked right out.
I'm not going to pick it up.
I was freaked right out.
To fill everyone in on what the inside joke here is,
joke.
I ceased playing the game. Not because it's a bad game. I want to make that very clear.
I didn't even start playing the
It's
game.
very well done. Andrew and Francois have logged several hours in the game. They're enjoying it quite a bit.
I have not played the game.
This is completely facetious from either of them.
I've actually hardly played it.
This is facetious from both of them.
No, I've only played like
I started playing Skyrim
6,
again.
7 hours. Yeah.
It took me 25 hours to get through the first act, so you did not play 6 or 7 hours.
Yeah, it's probably about as much as I played. Yeah.
No, it's bullshit.
It's not bullshit.
It takes 3 hours to get through the first act. So I've read.
It took me 25 hours.
No.
I have 25 hours played.
You might have left it on. Because there's just no way.
Yeah, 25 hours in.
There's
It's
no way.
literally impossible.
25 hours played, friends. 25 hours played.
You left it on for a while then or something.
All night, I guess.
Yeah.
And I'm through the first act.
There's no way 25
Like
hours.
even a guy who's played through nights hasn't logged 25 hours in, which is incredible.
You must have 25 hours logged.
Yeah, maybe about there.
Yeah.
I mean, I've read about a guy who has about 25 hours.
Anyway, the game is beautiful. I actually didn't have any of the glitchiness that anyone else seems to have.
I had no problems, yeah.
It seems like there's issues on the older generation of the most recent console, so not the Xbox Series X or the PS5 Pro, but the predecessor to those
Just
two
the
consoles.
OGs, yeah.
Seems to be having a problem with it. I'm sure that'll get fixed in a patch. But on PC, I also don't have really optimal hardware, and I've been running it. I was running it fine. Like, it looked good. It ran smoothly. So
I for sure hit bugs. Like
I've got
nothing.
like a few, but nothing game breaking.
It was very nothing. I'm trying to think if I hit.
I
any,
had one bad one, yeah.
I don't think the game crashed on me ever, but like mostly what I've been seeing is like clipping issues where it's like somebody might throw a cigarette and then it'll stop in midair during a cutscene and shit like that. And then one thing I've noticed too is like sometimes when I hack
The teep is
some NPCs, doesn't happen all the time. It's only happened maybe 4 or 5 times, but they'll go into the T pose, which is really funny to watch. The one I had today that I was like, ooh, this might be a game-breaking bug was, so in the game, you can, the way you can get lots of money really quick is like if you're doing a mission, there's these little panels on the wall, and then it's Cyberpunk 2077 is set in the future, and you have like fucking cybernetics in your body. So anyways, you can like plug into these walls, and then you can hack them, and then you can steal people's money or whatever. Or that's the idea. So anyways, I've been doing that a whole bunch, but in this one mission, I did that, and then as I jacked out, it was just like, she kind of froze, and it's like I had access to all my menus and stuff, but she wouldn't move, wouldn't get out of that position. I couldn't pick up my phone. I couldn't, I couldn't pull out my gun, couldn't pull out my phone, but I could still access all my menus and like play around with my inventory and stuff, and I could still put my scanner on. I was like, this is the weirdest thing I've ever seen.
Could you move side to side?
Yeah, kind of. Like a
couldn't
bit.
move your body.
Couldn't like move like forward, back, and that stuff. But then I was like, okay, what I'll try first is I'll try saving it right now, then reloading the save and seeing if it resets the thing. So I did that. That fixed it. So I'm not gonna call that a full on crash, even though I had to reload. But I didn't lose any progress with that load. So that like, but it's like the game for sure is buggy, but I would call it's very Bethesda-esque. Like that same type of buggy where it's like clipping issues.
Totally
and
playable though.
Yeah. It's like far.
And few and far between. Like the one thing that I've had happen like twice is very minor. I'll get stuck in my scan mode for a while if I hold on to that button for too long. But I'm usually able to get, if I like toggle the inventory button enough, it usually eventually goes away.
I've had that with sometimes when I get out of a vehicle, I'll be in it's as if I'm aimed in, but I don't have a gun out. And then I'm just like, I have no reticle and I'm moving really slowly because it's like, I think you move slower when you're aimed in. So it's like, so I'm like, why am I moving so slowly? But then all I need to do is either aim a gun and then it'll kind of break me out of it. And then one time, I don't know if it was a bug or what the fuck happened, but I got on a motorcycle and it wouldn't go over 8 kilometers an hour. It was driving. It just like floor to the board, wouldn't go over 8 kilometers an hour. It's like, and I'm like, is something wrong with the vehicle or something?
Do you love or hate the driving in that game?
I am now accustomed to it.
It took a while.
Yeah. What I said to Brad was it's like, it's not as bad as GTA 4, but it's definitely going for that more drifty car feel where it's like if you hit the brakes, like you're gonna feel the physics effects of what that's like. But now I'm so used to it that I figured out, this is especially true with motorcycles, but it's kind of true with most of the vehicles in the game. Like if you're fucking booking it, flooring it, and you hit the brakes, you will just slide to one side or the other side. So if you're able to like control that a little bit, you can just do this beautiful brake and slide into a perfect 9 degrees with your turn and then just peel off again. So every time I hit a turn, I'm just like peeling in 9 degrees, peel out, 9 degrees, peel out. So I'm used to it now, and I'm actually...
Yeah, I like it too. It's once you get used to it.
For a company that's never done a game with cars before, it blows my... For a company that's never done a game with guns, cars,
Honestly,
any of this shit blows my mind.
It's some of my favorite combat in this type of RPG. Like,
it
feels so. Even when you do the tutorial from the first one, you immediately intuitively just know how the combat system works.
It kind of felt a little bit like Borderlands to me. The combat.
Honestly, it felt like the things I like about Borderlands mixed with the things I like about Far Cry is what the combat reminds me of a lot.
And like I like the ticking, like the damage tick that goes by when you're shooting people. That's kind of nice.
I
Subtle.
I was talking to Thomas a day or two ago, and we were talking about it, and he was just installing the game, and I'm like, the game is like a mixture of Fallout, Far Cry, like different aspects of these things, but Fallout, Far Cry, GTA, Ghost in the Shell. That's not all I think. I think there's one I'm missing in there.
Borderlands, I would say too. But.
Yeah. Oh, and Titanfall was the thing because the gunplay actually reminded me of Titanfall. Like, with the way the guns look and the way that they shoot and stuff. That's what impressed me. It's like, this is Fallout. This is not like, this is not the half-assed gunplay of Fallout. Like, this is very
like gunplay is way better than
the fighting too, with the dodging and the counter aspect.
Yeah, it's
like, I love that.
It's way more. They at least put more thought into it than like your Fallouts put melee, because Fallout it
sucks.
Punch. Whereas at least there's like a parry, a block, and a whatever.
And with the cybernetics and stuff, it's viable to do the whole melee thing. Primary. Whereas with Fallout, it's like you have to basically take a secondary thing so you can get to a high enough level to get the high hitting the super good armor and the super good like high damage.
Because you have to run in and take shots to get it.
You have to
run backwards.
Yeah.
The one thing I will say that is absolutely the most impressive part of the game is the dialogue and everything is it feels so not intuitive, like immersive.
It's very immersive.
Like, man, does it make Bethesda's dialogue stuff look like shit.
Well, I was saying
you actually get to like, it's way more role play. Like, you actually get to,
what I like about it is like the cognitive dissonance you get from like a Skyrim or from like a GTA or something is up until this point. Like, I'm sure the next GTA will be wild. And GTA to me up till this point has been the best at this, but has been dethroned now. Was like when you walk into a conversation, it's like there's dynamic movement and a dynamic. It's like and that's the thing. And like even GTA, which I think did it the best, even that kind of had the NPC stand still. Ha la la, I'll meet you over here. Ba 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 ba. Whereas in Cyberpunk, it's like you walk into a room and the guy you're supposed to be talking to is already doing something, and then he just naturally starts talking to you, and then you can either walk away, you can just walk out, and like he'll be like, okay, we'll fucking see you then, or it's like you can choose to talk to him, and it's like it just feels so much more. Like, I'm not taken out of it by the conversation. It's not like press A to converse. Like that doesn't feel like that.
Especially because you have the mixture of the dialogue options that you can just choose them, or the timed ones where it's like you have to choose an option quickly. I love the mixture because
I like that they give you. It's not too fast.
Yeah.
Like, it's like Some of them are quick, but it's like it gives me enough time to read them before I press, because it's like I'm trying to think of games where they've had timers where it was so fast that it's like, this is fucking stupid. I
had one that was like it was 2 one-word answers, but it was like I had like a second to decide like stop or yes, and then like I don't know. No.
And I think that like everything just feels like as a human would interact. It's the first time I've really felt like it's actual people that I'm talking to.
Ironic, yeah.
Which is crazy. And it's like the conversation, like Fran said, like the NPC's doing something, and in all the other games, it's like, okay, I'm in regular gameplay mode, now I'm in conversation mode, now I'm in gameplay mode, and this is just like seamlessly in and out, and then it's combat, and then I'm back into talking to people again.
I mean, they're really good. They're really good at, I think, having the conversations. Why it feels so natural is because it's set in a place where it's natural to like walk into a restaurant and sit down beside, like, there's a lot of that for like the main cutscenes. It's like getting in a car with someone or sitting down in a booth or whatever. And that it gives it that natural.
I'll tell you, like, for example, one thing that isn't a plot ruiner for anybody who might be watching who wants to play the game. Like, I was in a bar and I was supposed to be like going on to meet somebody, but then the bartender's still talking to me. But I'm like, fuck, I should hurry up and go talk. Like, what if I don't hurry up and go talk to this person? Like, they're waiting for me. But I'm also like wanting to explore what the bartender has to say. And I'm like, I just turn to walk away, and then I turn back. She says, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to give you a little bit more attention. all right, that sounds good. Now it seems like a natural time for me to walk away without insulting you, and then I walk away and go into the other conversation.
Yeah, the fact that it's able to make you care about that and not
Because
just...
I don't want to just walk away. She just started talking to me again. Whereas in Fallout, it's like, there's an arrow in my leg. I'm like, yeah, see you, random computer generated person.
Yeah, I'll say this too because I played the game up until this point, and I then watched you play the first, what I would say 3 hours, but 25 hours, we'll say. So I watched you play the beginning, the opening of the game, and I will say this: the difference between the first 3 or 4 hours of the game and the brunt of what I've played now.
Well, yeah, because the world opens up, right? Like
it's insane. Like when I was playing it initially, I didn't even, because I was just like into the story and I was just like, okay, here's shit happening. And I played it. I decided like the first night I got it, I'm like, I'm gonna play up until I meet Keanu Reeves. Like that's my goal for day one is I want to meet the Keanu Reeves character. And then it ended up being whatever 4 or 5 hours that I sat down and had to play through all this shit. But it's like I did it all in one go, got through it. And I was really impressed with the writing and really like just like taking it all in. So it was like cool. But then watching Brad play it again, I'm like, wow, is this not the game? Like this is cutscene, like a first part, like a Call of Duty level. Then it's another cutscene, and then it's like there is none of that in the first 3 hours. There's none of that real freedom of choice and none of that shit.
not a ton of action.
Yeah, and then it's like when you get into this, there's something happens in the game, and then you get into this period of like a big cutscene, and it's like probably 45 minutes of like basically just a cutscene with like very minimal like some dialogue selection and then some shooting.
Some dialogue selection, some shooting. Yeah.
Yeah, and then
I thought it was broken up nicely, but
then well like when I played it initially, didn't notice.
Yeah.
It was only like watching Brad play that I was like, oh wow, is this? And the fact that I've been playing the game for so long now, like the body of the game, that it's like it is crazy how different that is, and they. Yes. It might be the game. Wow,
and there's so many random encounters too. Like there's so much stuff that you just come upon that you can react to too. Like it's not just like missions and like go here talk to someone. It's like driving around the city. You come across the police like assaulting someone. You can a gang that's randomly holding someone. You can save them.
The game very much feels to me like where there is all these story missions and side missions and all this shit. But it's like it's a game that I think like if you wrapped it, you did everything and you were. Whatever, you're all the way upgraded. If you wanted to just get some good gunplay in, you could just, it's like, GTA could actually learn something from this. Cause like sometimes I'll fire up GTA 5 cause I'm like, I just want to drive around and shoot shit and that's fun. But it's like, there's no goal. I have to just kind of make it up for myself, which is fine sometimes, but it gets old really quickly. Whereas with Cyberpunk, it feels like you could fire it up. And because there's these dynamically spawning missions and things, it's like, I'm going to go fucking do something for the NCPD and like take this guy down and get some evidence for them.
Yeah.
And then that you get your gameplay, you get to drive, you get to do all that stuff, but it feels a little more directed.
GTA feels so dead when the campaign's over.
Yeah, it's really all
the map
and like
is
once you
so dead.
have done all the side stuff, yeah.
You're just like in this dead world where like people are walking around smoking cigarettes, and that's pretty much what's happening.
Yeah. And you can only steal a jet so many times and then
try to parachute them.
Or like do 5 stars so many times.
And to say like when that game came out, it was like all that like, oh my god, the police are randomly chasing this person, but it doesn't happen very much.
It's almost a 10-year-old game now.
Yeah, until Cyberpunk, I would say that to me this is like one of the optimal levels of sandbox that I want. Like it gives me that GTA feel of like I get to go run around open world, do what I want to do kind of feeling. But it's got enough structure, like you're talking about. Like there's enough different missions and different combinations of like random encounters and stuff. And like there's collectible things to search for. Like there's so many different things that you can do and goals that you can have. And it feels like because it's so integrated so well, I feel like there's going to be a long time before we see anything that competes, unless they really take the model and run with it. And
I'll say this, the one thing that Cyberpunk's got going for it that literally no other game has going for it is this is a brand new IP in video games. Like totally. This isn't the 6th GTA game. Like this isn't the whatever 5th Fallout game. This isn't the whatever. It's like this is a brand new thing that like it's been so long since there's been a brand new open world IP for people to dig their teeth into and like get some new lore going. It's just
Honestly,
like
Red Dead Redemption was probably the last one.
yeah, Red Dead and first one came out in 2010, something like that.
2009 maybe.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I that's the other thing. I think the lore and the whole thing of the world building in Cyberpunk is just incredible. I mean, you don't expect anything less from CD Projekt Red. But what really blew me away, because I liked The Witcher, I loved all the story, but the gameplay just really turned me off. I found the learning curve was just like way too steep in terms of like how the combat mechanics and shit worked.
And once you learn it, it's not good.
No, yeah, that's the thing. Is like I didn't. Once I got to the point where I was competent enough to function, I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm done with this.
Here's a question, because I never played The Witcher 3, and I did play the earlier ones, but in The Witcher 3, if the combat is so bad, the rest of the game must be fucking ridiculously incredible.
The stories,
because to be still so like everyone just loves it.
Oh,
the voice acting's good. Like I don't know.
I that game is an achievement to me. Like in terms of it, it's like if the combat was, I've said this many times, like if they could make it feel, not to say the same, because like Assassin's Creed Odyssey has shallow combat. So like, I'm not going to say The Witcher should just adopt that, because it's like you're going to lose a little bit of depth with having it simplified like that. Mm-hmm. But I think there's this happy medium that can be constructed where it's like, it feels more responsive. It feels a little more like intuitive, where it's like, it's less like I tap X 4 times and it's like, then Geralt, it's like, I think he swung his sword 4 times, like not sure, maybe like I wanted him to be here, but he rolled and now he's over. It's sort of, it always feels like controlled chaos kind of. It's like you feel like you're in control, but you're never 100% sure. And like I did get to a point in that game, because I played the shit out of it for a while, where it's like I was like, I'm super competent at this, but it never felt as satisfying as like a Dark Souls or a God of War or a Assassin's Creed, where it was like, I know I'm in fucking control, and I lock into the guy and I'm fucking locked into him and I'm gonna fight him and whatever. It's like Witcher had like a soft lock system where it's like you could click and it would lock on, but if you moved a little far away, it would unlock and stuff. And it was just like, you never knew what was the exact, how to keep it in control kind of. But in terms of like the story and the map and the all of the side shit, like how immersed you could get in that game, like holy fuck. Like just like the fact that it's like you in The Witcher 3, for people who don't know, you play, it's like a medieval set game in like a fantasy Lord of the Rings type land, and it's like you play a monster hunter. So in the game, like that you can take contracts, and then it's like it'll say like this is what happened at this location, and then it's like, okay, these are the facts, and then it's like you got to go into your bestiary and be like, oh, like this kind of seems like it would be a noon wraith. Like that seems to be the thing. Then it's like, so I need to track down this noon wraith. So it's like, but I want to be more effective when I fight it. So I'm going to make noon wraith oil, and then you can cover your sword in oil, which will give you a buff and stuff. And just the amount of depth you can get out of that is great. Like you don't have to do any of that shit. But if you want to get that depth, you can get in there.
Was Witcher 3 the game that you were playing where I was watching and that guy's wife got transformed into an evil creature or something? Or the husband did?
The baby.
At the beginning, like toward one of the first big, it's one of the most famous missions, because it's like, I think that's when
witches did it.
The witches
like
aren't
3 ugly witches or something?
Oh, you're talking about after that. It's the same quest line. But later on, yes, they fuck up his wife and turn her into like a what do they call those?
Up thing.
Bog hag or something like that.
Yeah, bog hag, I think it is.
Yeah, and then it's like, depending on choices you made earlier on, it can go completely different ways. And like, I think the optimal way is like, this is an example of how crazy The Witcher 3 was in terms of its choices and like the branching narratives, was depending on what you did earlier in the game, there's a family, and you could have the whole family survive, and then 2 of them go live together, and then 1 of them go live in a city and stuff. But what I did and the choices I made ended up, the husband hung himself, the wife remained this monster, and then they had to kill her, and then the daughter was like, well, this fucking sucks, and then she left. And it was like, wow, is that what completely different the things that could happen? Like, that's so cool.
The point I was making with bringing up The Witcher and the combat and stuff was I feel like they fell short in that one massive area. Whereas with Cyberpunk, that's like, they've really learned from that, what they fucked up in The Witcher, and made this experience where it's the opposite. It's not difficult. It's intuitive and immersive. And the things that took me out of The Witcher aren't existent in Cyberpunk. They're doing the opposite.
The gunplay is super tight. So it's like that. The thing that you're gonna most people because like you could play the game as a stealth character and never pull out a fucking gun, or at least very rarely.
There's an achievement for that. I think.
Cool.
Yeah.
But it's like most
Ex Machina.
95% of people are going to be playing it like a first-person shooter. So it's like if your first-person shooter mechanics aren't fucking solid, like that's a complaint some people have with Fallout. Like people who are like super into first-person shooters are like can't get into the Fallout shooting because it's just like it feels clunky. And I'm not going to talk about that because like I actually kind of think it works for Fallout specifically, but I get it. It's like, Cyberpunk doesn't have that problem.
Different. Yeah, like Cyberpunk really can appeal to that first-person shooter crowd. Fallout's not even trying to do that with their combat.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Like
yeah, the Cyberpunk thing to me is like I said to Francois, if you're really like a crazy good at Counter-Strike, you would dominate that game because you'd just be picking headshots all the time and like.
Also, I don't know if you ever picked up a smart gun.
Oh, it's so cool.
It's so fucking cool, and you can get lots of mods for this. So rather than a reticle in the middle of the screen, you get this square, and you point at an enemy, and as long as they're in the square, the bullets will heat seek and find them.
Oh wow!
So like, I remember the first time I got a smart gun, I'm like, how does this fucking thing work? And at first, it's like they don't work amazing because it's like you kind of need to get some mods and like you can mod that shit up. But it's like now it's like, I lock onto a guy, he hides behind a thing. It's like good. It's like just fucking bullets raining down on him from above. So fucking cool. Yeah, and that's the thing is I don't think I've seen Titanfall was the closest.
Yeah.
Titanfall 1 had a smart pistol, which would do the kind of a similar thing.
Had any of the power weapons yet?
Like melee weapons?
No, like the power, like a power pistol.
I don't know if I had a power pistol. I've had like a big like machine gun thing, but
the power weapons have like heat or some whatever damage behind them.
Oh yeah.
And they just like
it's a normal pistol
roast.
with
a bunch with a whatever mod. It's called because there's smart tech and power weapons.
Yeah.
I love the power weapons. They fucking roast. Did you also like? So this is one thing I'm really interested in because we all chose different backgrounds.
Yes.
Each of us chose different.
Without even planning. That was wild. There's three of them, and the three of us chose different ones.
What did you like? How did you make more of a balanced in terms of attributes when you first did them?
Yeah. Yeah, I did. I knew that like in those games, I'm always like, I want a bit of a health boost. So I usually will give health maybe one above everything else. And then I think I went to like my intelligence because it said like, this will help with hacking doors. And it's like, and that game makes me feel like this. I love in a game when I feel like it's like I have a special skill that no one else has and I can hack these doors and no one else can hack these doors. So it's like I like to spend points and shit like that too. But yeah, basically it was like those two got a little bit of attention and then everything else was balanced.
I did high body, I think it's called, for like health and strength and stuff. I did like that at a 6 and I did something else at a 6 and everything else at a 5, I think. To start out, I think I did either my cool or my reflexes. I put at a 6 as well. But yeah, I also did very balanced. Did you go pretty balanced, or did you?
I went a little heavy on reflexes and body because I mostly just shoot. When I play those games. I don't mind like the hacking and stuff.
It gets so good when you get better hacks and stuff.
I think because it's new and there's no game that's really done it. But now it's like now that I'm used to it, holy fuck, do I love going to a camp? Like fucking hack everybody. They all have they get buffs so that they can't take as much damage. Boom, hack all the turrets or like hack all the cameras, turn them off or turn them into friendly mode so then I can always see them. Hack the turrets so they start unloading on the people before I'm even in the camp. It's like the more you spend, there's so much shit that you can just customize your hacking experience so specifically.
And the cybernetics too. It's crazy what you can do with all the
that's the thing. It's so expensive that I haven't really been able to buy a bunch. I have a few, but I haven't been able to buy too many.
I've just looked at them. I haven't actually bought them.
Like I can't wait until you get like the mantis blades, but that seems like you have to be like level 20 or something, and like that's more late game stuff.
That's your arm turns into
it turns into big fucking swords.
Like
or
that
whatever.
guy in that movie that was trying to climb up the hood of my vehicle.
Yeah, in the cutscene at the beginning.
No, the corporal thing was interesting. I think I didn't see Anders. I saw Francois. The Nomad one looks really cool. The corporal one gives you like, I don't know. I guess haven't played the other ones, but like I could seem to use corporal speech options like all the time. Like it was like every conversation I could talk about corpo stuff.
It was the same with Street Kid.
Yeah, I think it really tailors it. Like it'll because there's the three. Basically, society is split into those three sects, where it's the corpo and the people who are that's high society. Then there's the street kids who are lower city society. And then there's the nomads who live outside the city. So society is kind of split into that way. So if you're I will get nomad options when I'm talking to somebody who's a part of that society, or if somebody's talking about nomads, then I'll be like, no, you're incorrect. Like this is what nomads would do in this situation,
right.
And correct them on shit like that. So it's like. And it makes sense that earlier in the game, because you're mostly dealing with the mission, corporate, and city people, that you guys would get a lot of options. Because earlier in the game, I didn't have a lot of speech options, but now, like, I'm in a part of the game where I'm outside the city, and like now it's like everybody I can fucking talk their lingo.
Every conversation was like they would say something like, "Don't try and bullshit a bullshitter. I'm corporal." And it's like, don't bullshit me. I'm a corporal. I know that's bullshit. How about no bullshit? I know that. I was high in corporal.
Next time you want to bullshit a bullshitter, why don't you just
go home and
bullshit each other?
Yeah, why don't you just go home and bullshit each other?
Mr. Bullshit and Dr. Bullshit. Which one of us has a PhD?
That was Role Models. This was the Prehistoric Podcast. We're going to be back at you for 3 more episodes. We might even talk a little bit more about CD Projekt Red's new masterpiece, Cyberpunk 2077.
Producer, what do you want to just? How much time are we at? Are you paying attention? 2 minutes until 30? 32 minutes. All right. Yeah, why not? All right. Thank you very much for listening to our diatribe about Cyberpunk. Probably didn't make any sense to anybody.
If you haven't checked it out, check it out on now online on the.
Yeah, I'll say this. Like from what I've seen, if you have an Xbox or a PS4, like a base edition, don't buy the game. Apparently, it's just shit. Actually, I was watching gameplay. And the Xbox One gameplay was sub 20 frames per second, 60% of the time. And I'm like, this is not playable.
And it was just polygons.
Like, it was so bad. So apparently it's okay on PS4 and it's pretty good on Xbox One X. So it's like, if you have like Kelby, I think has an Xbox One X, like you'd probably be safe in buying it on that and have a good experience, have a decent experience. But yeah, if you have a base,
weeding people who aren't part of the PC Master Race out now.
Yeah,
this is the first move to start eliminating people.
I honestly think it's like it's so weird because like obviously our experience on PC, it's like we're like, this is great, but it's unacceptable that you could release a game onto a console and it doesn't work. Like that shit that hasn't happened since like the Genesis.
They've never showed gameplay
NES days
on the old consoles.
It looks like they never played it once. That's what it seems like. It's like they never fired it up to see if it works.
Like I watched one guy walk up to a police officer who looked like a gray cube, like a very early alpha design, and then the guy sat there and he's like, counters like 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and then finally the textures load, but he's still really patchy, but you can tell what he is. Before he's just like a cylinder with 2 cylinders coming off the side, 2 cylinders on the bottom, and then an egg shape on the top.
It's so sad because it's like they deserve to get raked over the coals for that. Like it's just like it's unacceptable that you release a fucking game like that.
You're safe. Like that's one of the nice
things
usually
about
consoles.
They're more optimized.
It's like at least I know that it won't maybe look as good.
It's
as the
easier
PC
to
thing,
optimize
for
for
consoles
consoles
every time.
I'm. It's so shitty because it's like you release this amazing game and I'm having this great experience, but it's like that's fucking unacceptable. It's like
they must have severely overestimated the hardware on the original. Xbox.
They shouldn't have done.
But it's wild because like if you think about it, they've been developing this game since 2013. So the brunt of the development for this game was for the original Xbox and the PS4. That's what they were designing it for up until like probably 3 years ago when they got some dev kits for some of these new consoles. But it's like, so what was it doing before? Like, was it ever in a playable state? Like,
I doubt it. I bet that's probably what took them so. Like, being able to have it on the newer machines / better GPUs and stuff probably was when they made a lot of breakthroughs with the game.
What they
were able to up-res it.
What I think they should do, which they won't do, but it's like they should pull the game off of the fucking stores, refund everyone who bought it on Xbox One and PS4, and then until you can get it at a solid 30 FPS, do not fucking give it back to people. It's ridiculous. Well, no, then you just give it to them.
Yeah, just
fuck that. Yeah. No, you don't fucking give somebody a broken product and then take it away from them And then it's like a couple months later, it's like, oh, here's your shit back. It's like, no, it's like you ruined it already. Fuck you. It's like you already ruined my experience. So I don't know. It's like Cyberpunk or CD Projekt Red, great job, but also fuck you. Like shitty shit move. Shitty. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching.
Tune in next time. Thanks, guys.
Talk to you later.